There is a divine order behind the chaos of life. Behind every delay, every heartbreak, and every storm is a hand unseen, moving, orchestrating, protecting. And when that hand belongs to God, no evil can prosper against the soul it covers. You may not see it with your eyes, but if you listen closely to your spirit, you'll begin to discern something powerful. A woman who is protected by God walks differently, she lives differently, she loves differently. And the world cannot touch her with its darkness because heaven itself has marked her. Now understand this clearly. Protection does not mean a life free from trials. Oh no, it means those trials will never have the final say. A woman protected by God may walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but she will not camp there. Evil may knock on her door, but it will not enter. There are forces that gather against the daughters of destiny, but when God lifts his hand over her, no weapon formed against her shall prosper, not one, and today I want to speak to that woman. You might be her, or you might be becoming her, the first sign. She has an unshakable peace even in the middle of war. You've seen her. Storms rage around her, loss, betrayal, false accusations, but her soul remains anchored. Not because she is fearless, but because she has learned where her help comes from. She doesn't trust in man, in appearances, in sweet promises. She knows that God is her refuge, and in him she finds rest. That peace is not natural, it is supernatural. It defies logic. It confuses the enemy. Evil cannot stand prolonged peace, because peace is a signal of divine presence. Her calmness is not weakness, it is armor. And that armor protects her spirit from being contaminated by the poison of wickedness. Another sign, a woman protected by God has discernment beyond her years. She may not be the loudest in the room, but she sees through people like glass. She doesn't get caught up in the surface. She hears what people don't say. She reads motives, not just words. Because she walks closely with the Spirit whispers to her things that others miss. She avoids traps others fall into. She walks away from relationships others would run toward. It is not luck, it is wisdom. It is the Holy Spirit shielding her by alerting her spirit. And you may think she's overreacting, but she's just listening to the alarm bells heaven placed inside her soul. And here's a powerful thing. God will often isolate a woman before he elevates her. If she is protected, she will go through seasons of loneliness, not because she is unloved, but because God is pulling her out of reach. He is hiding her in his shadow. You won't see her in every crowd because she is not for the crowd. You won't see her giving pieces of herself to everyone because her spirit is reserved for the sacred. Her circle is small, but her connection with God is deep. Evil people look for entry points, vulnerabilities, insecurities, wounds, but this woman's isolation becomes insulation, and what looks like rejection is often protection. Another sign, she loses what would have destroyed her. Sometimes we cry over the things God removes, but those very things were assignments from hell. That relationship that ended, that job that let her go, that friend who disappeared, it was all part of the protection. When God is shielding you, he will prune people, places, and paths that lead to pain. She may not understand it in the moment, but in time she looks back and says, "Thank God that didn't work out." When God says no, it's not a punishment, it's preservation. Some losses are really rescues. Let me tell you something else. Evil people can't stand her. They try to break her spirit, but she's too resilient. They gossip, slander, manipulate, but she remains unmoved, not because she is unhurt, but because she is held. God won't allow their schemes to succeed. In fact, he will make them fall into the very pits they dug for her. And here's the beautiful part. She doesn't even have to fight back. Her stillness becomes her weapon. Her silence confuses her enemies. While they are busy throwing stones, she is busy building altars. While they are plotting, she is praying, and heaven responds not to noise, but to faith. God fights for her in ways the human eye can't perceive. That's protection. There's also a glow about her. Yes, a spiritual glow. Evil doesn't like light, and when a woman walks with God, she becomes a light. bearer. She may not see it, but others do. That glow causes the right people to be drawn and the wrong ones to be exposed. God will not allow her light to be dimmed by darkness. When evil approaches, it becomes uncomfortable in her presence. Demons tremble when she speaks truth. Hell gets nervous when she worships, and all because she carries the fragrance of heaven wherever she goes. And let me tell you about the prayers she prays. Her prayers are not recitations, they are declarations. Her prayers are not just words, they are weapons. She knows how to pray with authority. When she prays, angels are dispatched. Chains are broken. Generational curses are shattered. She's not just praying for herself. She's interceding for others, her children, her home, her future. And because she is faithful in prayer, God honors her voice. Evil cannot enter where intercession has already marked the territory. Lastly, this woman is obedient. Obedience is her strategy. She doesn't follow feelings. She follows God's instructions, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs her something. She doesn't need the crowd's approval because she's already heard God's voice, and because of her obedience, doors open that no man can shut. Because of her obedience, she walks through fires and comes out without smoke. She has learned that the safest place to be is not in comfort, but in the center of God's will. Obedience becomes her covering, her yes becomes her shield, and because of that, evil cannot derail her destiny. So I ask you, do you see these signs in your life? Because if you do, it is no accident. God is surrounding you, preserving you, hiding you for the right moment. Don't curse the quiet season. It's your cocoon. Don't question the closed doors. They're divine barricades, and don't fear the enemy, because the enemy fears who you're becoming. You were never meant to be ordinary. You are chosen, called, covered. When a woman aligns her life with heaven, all of hell takes notice. But here's the good news. Hell cannot touch what heaven protects. So rise, daughter of purpose, walk boldly, speak boldly, love boldly. You are protected not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. And that makes all the difference. She becomes a mirror reflecting not just light, but truth, and evil despises the truth. That's why it tries to twist her image, smear her name, stir confusion around her identity. But no matter how many lies are told, no matter how thick the fog of deception grows, her spirit stays intact, because a woman protected by God doesn't need to explain herself to everyone. She doesn't chase validation. She doesn't run after applause. She's already been affirmed in the secret place. Her confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from conviction, and oh, how God watches over her steps. Every detour, every delay, every door that didn't open, He's been in it all. When others thought she was falling behind, she was actually being preserved. While some were sprinting into disaster, she was being taught patience, and that patience, so it's not passive, it's powerful. It's rooted in trust. Evil cannot manipulate a patient woman. It cannot rush her into making desperate decisions. She moves on heaven's timing, not man's. She knows delay is not denial, it's divine strategy. Because when the time comes, she won't have to force a thing. What's hers will find her. There's something about how she walks into a room. The atmosphere changes, not because she's loud, but because she carries weight. Not physical weight, spiritual authority. Evil can't sit comfortably in her presence. Darkness can't stay when she opens her mouth to speak life. This is not about perfection. It's about position. She has taken her place under the covering of the Most High. And from that place she doesn't just survive. She thrives, she builds, she nurtures, she restores. She speaks words that heal. She carries peace like oil, and everywhere she walks becomes anointed ground. Even her pain becomes a weapon. The very things that tried to break her become testimonies that break others free. You see, a woman protected by God doesn't waste suffering. She doesn't bury her scars in shame. She exposes them to bring light to others. Her story becomes someone else's survival guide, and every time evil tries to remind her of what she's lost, God raises her memory of how He brought her through. The enemy may have sent the storm, but God always writes the final chapter, and in her life every chapter screams of grace, every paragraph speaks of perseverance, every word is stamped with mercy. She learns how to respond instead of react. You'll notice it. People will try to provoke her, bait her into conflict, draw her into drama, but she's mastered the art of restraint, not because she's afraid, but because she's focused. She doesn't fight battles that don't belong to her. She knows the difference between an assignment and a distraction, and because of that, evil gets frustrated. It can't hook her emotions. It can't detour her journey. While others waste energy arguing, she conserves her strength for purpose. Because she knows not every attack deserves a response, and not every critic deserves her attention. This woman is consistent, and that consistency is rare in a world addicted to chaos. Evil can't keep up with someone who shows up every day in faith, in discipline, in obedience. While others chase instant gratification, she builds slowly, quietly, faithfully. She's not trying to impress, she's trying to last. And because she builds on the rock, not the sand, what she creates endures. Her relationships, her character, her mission, they stand firm. The winds blow, the floods rise, but she remains. Her house does not fall because her foundation is the Word, and evil has no access to what's built on truth. Even her love is protected. God doesn't let just anyone near her heart. That's why some connections fade without warning. That's why some people leave suddenly. It's not rejection, it's redirection. He is guarding her heart so that the wrong person can't hijack her future. She may feel lonely at times, but that loneliness is wrapped in divine love. It's not absence, it's alignment, because when the right one comes, she'll know. She won't have to beg for attention or shrink herself to be accepted. She'll be seen for who she truly is, and loved accordingly. Evil won't get a seat at her table because the table was set by God, and when she speaks, so there's weight in her words. She doesn't talk just to be heard. She speaks because she has something eternal to say. Her words are seasoned with wisdom, laced with discernment, fueled by grace. She doesn't curse her enemies, she prays for them. She doesn't gossip, she guards her tongue. And because she has mastered her mouth, God trusts her with revelation. Her voice becomes a tool of deliverance. She opens her mouth and chains break. Darkness trembles, heaven listens. That's not personality, that's authority. An authority like that doesn't come from books or platforms. It comes from the secret place where God reveals his heart to those who seek him in silence. She understands the weight of legacy. She doesn't just live for today. She's thinking generationally. Her prayers reach beyond her own lifetime. Her decisions are planting seeds that will blossom in children she may never meet. Evil loves short-term thinking, but she's building for eternity. She's breaking cycles, healing bloodlines, establishing new patterns. When she prays, she's pulling down strongholds that have lingered for decades, and the enemy hates it. Because when one woman rises in alignment with heaven, she shifts the destiny of everyone connected to her. She is content, not complacent. She's grateful, but not stagnant. She has dreams, but she doesn't idolize them. She works, but she also rests. Evil wants her to burn out, but God teaches her balance. She doesn't run on empty because she knows where her source is. She retreats when needed. She listens more than she speaks. She honors her body, her mind, her spirit. That kind of self-awareness isn't pride, it's wisdom. A protected woman knows she cannot pour from an empty cup, so she remains filled, and because she's filled, she pours into others from overflow, not obligation. And there's something else. Favor follows her. You can't explain it logically. Doors open. Opportunities arise. Battles get won before they start. Not because she's chasing them, but because they're chasing her. Evil tries to delay it, but can't deny it. Because when God places favor on someone's life, no opposition can cancel it. She doesn't have to manipulate her way to the top. Grace elevates her. She doesn't have to network her way into influence. God brings her name into rooms she's never stepped into. That's what happens when protection isn't just around you, it's within you. Favor becomes a magnet, and evil becomes repelled by the scent of purpose. She's been through enough to know that her life is not random. Every tear she's cried has watered something eternal. Every detour had a destination. Every delay held a lesson. She's not bitter, she's better. She's not broken, she's becoming, and that's what scares the enemy the most. Not what she's been through, but what she's becoming, because when a woman finds her identity in God, no lie can stick, no curse can hold, no evil can prevail. She walks in the fire and doesn't come out smelling like smoke, because God walks with her. And wherever God walks, evil must flee.